Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Yin Yang Accounting and the Universe, and my name is Eli Zolo and I'm the Colorful Accountant. And in this episode we are going into the textbook and we're looking at the debits and credits of fixed assets, the purchasing of fixed assets and the depreciation of them. So we'll take a look at the journal entries, or the T accounts, as we did in the introduction and in our short lessons of debits and credits, and just the yin and yang of it. So if you haven't already watched, we did an episode up in the mountains on fixed assets, looking at it's kind of like an analogy of how mountains are fixed assets. And although fixed assets are yang in nature because they're considered debit balance accounts, and debits are always yang. We found yin and yang all over the place up in the mountain. So today we're digging in to the debits and credits and taking a look at the yin and yang of what fixed assets are. So let's get started here. And we're going to start with the purchase of assets. All right. So you can see here, this is the purchasing of an asset. And I broke it into two things. So when we buy an asset, the debit is going to be, you're debiting the asset account. We're adding $300,000. We're buying an asset of $300,000. All right. And we're using the funds in our cash account. Right. And so here is the credit side and the yin side. And here we're nurturing the business. We're using those funds to actually nurture the business, nurture and develop the business. All right. So, and if we need a loan, then that's even more yin. It's because we're receiving. We have to do the act of receiving money from a lender. Could be from a bank. And so that money goes into our cash accounts, and then we're using the funds to nurture. So the credit side, the yin, is the nurturing of the business. Whereas here, we're showing the yang side of it, where we're using the funds. Using is very yang, where nurturing is much more of a yin idea. And we will use the assets. The assets will be used in, we're going to develop the business and we're going to generate revenue with these assets. So the assets are very yang in nature because they're used to develop and build the business. Yep. But we have to see the yin of it too, and that's using of the funds. So the fund is nurturing, the cash account is nurturing the development of the business by using those monies to purchase the asset, right? So here, very yin, very yang. It's a yang nature idea, assets. But inside, when we dig in, just like we did in the mountain, we find the yin and yang of it. It's not just one thing. So to recap, the debit, the yang side, is assets. We're debiting assets. We're adding to our asset account. And the credit is to the cash account and or to using loan. So we'd credit our loan account as well if we're using a loan. So that's that. Okay. So when you have your assets in your business, they're used up. They get used up. They depreciate is the concept. Let's get that stuff going. Depreciating is the concept. And again, so assets, there's all kinds of yin and yang all over the place. And here we looked at it. So when you're depreciating, the value, the book value of the asset is actually being used up, and we expense it. And that's how depreciation works. It's kind of representing the utilization of the asset. Eventually it's going to deplete and be sold or exchanged or changed, replaced. But here, and we could see that up in the mountain when we saw the tree had fallen down, or we actually saw on one a stump that actually was a yang in nature. It was taking from the earth. The trunk of the tree was taking from the earth through the roots to provide to the leaves above. And we saw that, and actually that dead stump turned into a new yin of providing a place for nurturing of different creatures. So, it's just, you get to see the book value here now. So this is depreciation. So in depreciation, we have our debit, which goes to, I abbreviated here, depreciation expense, and that's the debit. And then here, accumulated depreciation is where things get credited. So as you're carrying the asset, and it's depreciating, we tally the total in what's called accumulated depreciation, and that's kind of the reduction from the asset account. But we also have to show the expensing of it. All right. So the expense is depreciation expense, and we carry that account to recognize the year after year expenditure of the asset. So the debit is, and here we go. Let's see, what is we saying here? It's the using of resources. So we're using the resources of the asset, and it's depreciating, and that's the debit side of the depreciation. Every year we have to recognize the depreciation expense. So we debit depreciation expense, and the credit goes to accumulated depreciation. And in that side, it's the accommodating. It's accommodating the use of assets, right? So again, we can see that the credits are always yin and the debits are always yang. The depreciation, we are using the resources. So we have depreciation expense. We're crediting the accommodating of the use of the asset. We're crediting accumulated depreciation, right? And that's the credit of that transaction. So we get to see from the purchasing of the asset how we debit the asset account, which is the using of funds. We used funds to add to our asset, and the assets are going to provide and generate revenue, and the credit, the yin, is we're nurturing the development of the business, and we're or receiving funds from a bank to pay for that asset, right? So debits and credits. Isn't it wonderful to find this stuff out? For me, I love it. I don't know, maybe you like the videos that are out in the wilderness and out in nature better. We kind of got to go through both of it, and that's what yin and yang, that's accounting, debits and credits. And that's why this channel exists, because we want to explore accounting from a new, fun way. So we're going to have to do these textbook videos, and we're also going to go out into the nature and see them as analogies in our nature, and explore that. So hope you enjoyed this video. Leave comments, please. I want to know if we're doing a good job and what we can do to improve as you continue to watch and support the channel with your subscriptions, and eventually we'll have some sort of merchandise to purchase so that you can wear the shirts. Gotta have a tie. I gotta come up with a yin yang, a yayu tie. Yin yang accounting in the universe. This is Eli Zolo, the colorful accountant. Stay tuned. We can never forget our easy button, because when it's all said and done,
that was easy.
That's what we want you to be doing. So thanks for watching the video and subscribing to the channel. This is Eli Zolo, the colorful accountant, and you're watching Yin Yang Accounting and the Universe. See you on the next video.